On March 22, 2025, the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia hosted the NCAA Wrestling Finals. Fans packed the arena expecting another dominant performance from Gable Steveson, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. What they witnessed instead was the biggest upset in college wrestling history. Gable Steveson isn't just one of the best wrestlers in college history. His dominance started early. At Apple Valley High School in Minnesota, he won 4 state titles and finished his career with a staggering 210-3 record. By the time he arrived at the University of Minnesota, he was already seen as a future NCAA champion and Olympic contender. In college, he lived up to every expectation. He won NCAA titles in 2021 and 2022, racking up a near-perfect record. He was a 4-time Big Ten champion, the first heavyweight to ever achieve that feat. He also won 2 Dan Hodge trophies, the award given to the nation's best college wrestler, becoming the first heavyweight to win it twice. His record heading into the 2025 NCAA tournament was 101-3, and he hadn't lost since his freshman year in 2019. After that, he briefly pursued a career in WWE and even signed with the Buffalo Bills in 2024 to try out for the NFL. But in 2025, he returned to wrestling for one final run at an NCAA title, looking to put an exclamation mark on his already historic career. Coming into the national finals, Steveson was the clear favorite. He had already beaten Wyatt Hendrickson in freestyle, and most people expected this match to go the same way. But Hendrickson had different ideas. While Gable Steveson was the established superstar, Wyatt Hendrickson had built his own reputation as one of the most dangerous heavyweights in college wrestling. His aggressive, high-paced style was a nightmare for opponents, and unlike many heavyweights who wrestled conservatively, Hendrickson was always pushing for the pin. He led Division I in falls multiple times throughout his career, overwhelming opponents with relentless pressure. Hendrickson's wrestling journey began at the Air Force Academy, where he became a 3-time All-American and one of the best wrestlers in program history. However, because of his military commitment, his collegiate career was supposed to end in 2024. At the time, it seemed like he had missed his shot at an NCAA title. But then came a major turning point. Hendrickson was granted a military waiver that allowed him to defer his active duty service and wrestle for one final season. With the opportunity in front of him, he transferred to Oklahoma State, a program with a deep wrestling tradition. Now, he wasn't just competing for himself. He was representing both his new team and his military background, carrying the mentality of a soldier into every match. From the start of the season, it was clear Hendrickson was on a mission. He tore through the heavyweight division, proving he could hang with the best in the country. But the biggest challenge loomed ahead: Gable Steveson. Despite Steveson's legendary status and their past freestyle match where Gable had come out on top, Hendrickson never wavered in his belief that he could win.
It's gonna be exciting. You know, everyone's yelling. It's gonna be coming down on the mat, so it makes me feel even more threatened, which fuels me even more. It fuels my fire to be a national champion even more. So yeah, I like it in here. It's hostile, just the way I like it.
To him, this was his moment. And when he made his entrance for the NCAA finals, draped in the American flag with a roaring crowd behind him, the stage was set for one of the most shocking moments in college wrestling history. Gable Steveson and Wyatt Hendrickson came into the NCAA championships as the clear favorites at heavyweight, and their performances leading up to the finals only reinforced why. Both tore through their side of the bracket, barely giving their opponents a chance to breathe. For Steveson, the tournament was just another reminder of his dominance. He teched or pinned every opponent leading up to the semifinals, putting on a clinic with his signature speed and control. When he faced Lehigh's Owen Trephan in the semis, it was his first full match of the tournament, but even then, it wasn't close. Steveson won 13-5, racking up takedowns at will and shutting down any chance of an upset. It was another day at the office for a man who hadn't lost a college match in years. Hendrickson, meanwhile, was putting on a show of his own. He pinned his way to the semifinals, showing why he was regarded as one of the most dangerous heavyweights in the country. No one had been able to last a full match against him until the semis, where he faced 3-time All-American and reigning NCAA champion Greg Kirkfleet. Many expected this to be a tough, grinding match, It wasn't. Hendrickson dominated, controlling the pace from start to finish, and securing an emphatic 8-2 victory. It was a statement win, proving that he wasn't just an underdog in the finals. He was a real threat to Steveson's reign. Both wrestlers had reached the championship match in dominant fashion, but their styles couldn't have been more different. Steveson was the technician, an Olympic champion whose footwork and mat control made him nearly untouchable. Hendrickson was the aggressor, always looking for the big move, always hunting for the pin. As the arena buzzed with excitement, the moment felt bigger than just a wrestling match. With high-profile figures like Donald Trump and Elon Musk in attendance, the crowd inside the Wells Fargo Center was electric. As the crowd buzzed in excitement, Hendrickson made his entrance, draped in the American flag, a symbol of his unshakable belief and the pride he carried, representing not only his team but his country. As Hendrickson walked to the mat, Gable Steveson, ever the competitor, approached him with a quiet but intense exchange. Steveson, known for his confidence, got in Hendrickson's face, a reminder of the stakes and the tension that was about to unfold. This was the showdown, and both men were mentally locked in for the battle ahead. The match began, and immediately it was clear that Hendrickson wasn't intimidated by the legend in front of him. Steveson started strong, as expected, controlling the center of the mat and using his speed to score first with a quick takedown. But Hendrickson wasn't backing down. He countered with relentless pressure, pushing the pace and forcing Steveson to wrestle at a level he wasn't accustomed to. By the second period, the intensity had ramped up. Hendrickson wasn't just hanging with Steveson, he was taking it to him. In a back-and-forth battle, Hendrickson then hit a decisive takedown that gave him the lead. Steveson fought back, but Hendrickson's control and stamina began to shine. As the final seconds ticked down, it became clear that this was no ordinary match. Steveson, the unstoppable force of college wrestling, was on the ropes, struggling to overcome Hendrickson's relentless attack. With the score sitting at 5-4, Hendrickson held on in the final moments, refusing to let Steveson back into the match. When the whistle blew, the Wells Fargo Center erupted in disbelief. Wyatt Hendrickson had done the unthinkable. He had defeated Gable Steveson 5-4 in a match that would go down as one of the greatest upsets in the history of college wrestling. The impossible had been achieved, and Hendrickson's name was now etched in the history books alongside the legends. With a mindset of sheer belief and unwavering confidence, he walked into that match knowing he was going to win, and it showed. This was his time. This wasn't an upset for the sake of a surprise. It was the culmination of years of hard work, belief, and a relentless pursuit of greatness. For Hendrickson, this victory was the payoff for everything he had sacrificed. His decision to return for one final season after receiving the waiver from the Air Force Academy wasn't just about adding another title to his name. It was about proving to himself and the wrestling world that he could stand toe-to-toe with the best and come out on top. As the celebration erupted, Hendrickson's actions after the match spoke volumes about his pride and the values he held dear. Draped in the American flag, he walked over to the side of the mat where President Donald Trump was seated. Hendrickson showed not only his respect for the man, but also his deep sense of patriotism and duty as a member of the U.S. Air Force. This moment was more than just a wrestler's victory. It was a powerful gesture of pride in both his country and the sport that had shaped his life. Steveson, on the other hand, was left to reflect on what had just happened. After years of domination, his undefeated streak in college wrestling had come to a shocking end. But even in defeat, there was respect for Hendrickson's effort. Steveson's intensity before the match showed how much he cared about his legacy, and losing on this stage would only fuel his desire to grow and improve. This match wasn't just about wrestling technique or skill, it was about mindset. Hendrickson believed, from the moment he stepped into the arena with the American flag on his back, that he could win. And in doing so, he did what few could ever dream of. He toppled a giant and wrote his own place in the history books. As the wrestling world reflects on this moment, it serves as a reminder that even in a sport as dominant and entrenched in tradition as wrestling, the unexpected can happen. The best athletes don't just rely on their physical gifts, they also trust in their preparation, their mindset, and their belief in themselves. Wyatt Hendrickson's victory over Gable Steveson is a perfect example of how far that belief can take you, even when the odds are stacked against you.